Okay, let's see how this works through my headphones. I'm trying something new. In this video, we are going to talk about our new unit, inequalities. And let's start with the definition of inequalities that you see right here. Inequalities are mathematical sentences that use the symbols less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. This builds on the concept of equations, which are also mathematical sentences. The difference is that we use these four symbols listed here instead of an equal sign. Here is a chart that goes through what each of the symbols mean and how the graphs look. The first one is less than. Less than, you can see it in the box right underneath what it looks like. X is less than -2. In this box down below, in this row, you see other words that you'll find in word problems that mean less than. And it says here, is fewer than. Now, the important thing about that is that it's obvious if something is fewer or less than something, the implication is that the something, the -2 in this case, are not included in the solution set. And sure enough, in the next box down, you see here's our graph. This is my expectation when you draw your number line graphs. You don't have to be fancy about it. You just have to draw a line like you see here. You have to draw your solution, your number, in this case -2, an open circle or a closed circle. And because this is strictly less than, -2 is not a solution to the set. So you draw your open circle and then your line pointing in the correct direction as to where all your solutions will be. And if you look at the point of the sign, it always points in the direction that you should be moving in. All right, so let's move on to the next one. X is greater than 1/2. This sign means greater than. And another way to say it is more than. And once again, the very words make it sound like the 1/2 is not part of the solution set, that X is greater than 1/2, not can be 1/2. And once again, here's another graph. We have a line, we have 1/2, we have an open circle, and then we have the line pointing in the correct direction. Remember, the point of the sign is the same direction that your line should be drawn in. It points in the correct direction. So let's move on to the next example. X is less than or equal to 3. This is what this means in words, less than or equal to. And another way that you could see, there are 3 other ways that you could see this written: no more than. So it can be that, but it's not more than that. Up to means, once again, it's up to 3, which implies that it could be 3. And then last but not least, at most 3. And here's a graph of a less than or equal to. You've got our line, you've got your number value, you've got a solid circle, a closed circle, and then once again, you've got the arrow pointing in the correct direction. Here we go with our last example. X is greater than or equal to 20. So here is it written in words in the next box down, greater than or equal to. And two other ways that you will see this written is no less than and at least. And here's our example of the graph. We have our line, we have our solution, and then we have solid circle because 20 is allowed to be one of the solutions to the inequality. And then you have your line pointing in the correct direction. So it's important to note that inequalities follow the same rules as equations. That is why we took so long to get used to equations. You're just applying the same properties of real numbers to solve inequalities exactly like you did equations, except for one thing, okay? Except when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to flip the sign. There is a proof for why this works already in Schoology. I haven't made a video of it, but I did create a table that's got the proof written down, and I will make a video of it also. So here's an example. We have negative 5x is less than 10. So in order to solve for x and isolate x, we have to divide both sides by negative 5. So you can see we have a less than sign right here. And if you go over to here, you've got x is greater than negative 2. We divided by negative 5, and we had a less than, and now it becomes a greater than. Okay? We flipped it. This only works when you multiply or divide. When you add or subtract, you leave everything the same. So, if you are struggling with this concept, if you think this is kind of difficult, stop watching the video now and just start practicing some problems. This is a little something extra that I want to show for students who feel like they are ready for it, okay, who want to learn something in Algebra 1 that you won't actually need to do until Algebra 2. But I feel like I should introduce you to it. And that is a concept of interval notation. So right now we're doing inequalities. And this is inequality notation, okay? You've got your variable, you've got your sign, and you've got your solution. You've got your number, right? And if we were going to graph that, this is an example of this graph of x is less than 2. We've got an open circle, you see that in dark blue, and we've got the arrow pointing in the correct direction. Well, in interval notation, you use parentheses and brackets. A parentheses, I'm going to draw this in yellow for you real quick. Parentheses equal the same thing as less than or greater than. All right, whatever number is written right next to the parenthesis is not part of the solution set. And instead of x, you can see here we have negative infinity. All right, that's the other difference. So this very inequality right here, x is less than 2, would be written in interval notation as open parentheses, negative infinity, comma, 2, close parentheses. Okay? And if we were going to graph it, you see how I have the parentheses pointing in the direction of the arrow? That's how you would do that. Likewise, brackets mean the same thing as less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. All righty? So in this case of x is greater than or equal to 5, here's our graph, solid colored in circle. Here's our line pointing in the correct direction. And here's what this looks like in interval notation. You've got 5. See, this is saying all of our x's are greater than or equal to 5. So because it can be equal, we've got a bracket here. And then we've got 5, comma, and then infinity, because this line goes on forever and ever, and infinity always has a parenthesis. You never use a bracket with infinity because you never get there. So thank you for listening. Thanks for being curious and wanting to know about inequalities, and we'll see you in the next video.